Hello everybody and welcome back to Typical City, the pre-season. Are you excited or are you a little bit pre-season? It is one of those things, I think you either love it or you hate it. But I do think this pre-season is going to answer some questions for those that are torn on whether the pre-season and the transfer window has been a good one or a bad one. I think if you're looking at the Gvardiol deal, it's looking like a bit of a nightmare at the minute, a bit of a shit show, let's put it that way. And then Kovacic, that deal went very smoothly, and these things can work out like that. Sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't. Not every deal is going to be the same. So I think the pre-season might calm a few nerves down. It might add to the tension depending on the results. You have to factor in that these results don't matter. Of course they don't. I just think it's easy to get carried away with performances. But ultimately, I'm just excited to see the fact that we are consistently now, and it's something that's become the norm, for us to go across the globe and navigate through countries and just see the attention that's drawn to our club, to Manchester City. And it's just heartwarming, because I'm thinking back when my dad used to grab posters from Manchester Derby days and at Main Road, and Nicholas Anelka and David Beckham poster. I remember it. That he pulled that off, and that was like, oh, that's memorabilia like that. Or getting a little shitty flag, like the worst piece, crap little bit of wood with a naff little flag on it. Now we've got these monstrous buses with laser machines driving through Tokyo. Like, what is that? If you haven't seen it, go and look at it, because it was just mind-blowing. And if you're a fan of cyberpunk and things like that, it was just like, what is that? Like, that's incredible. 3 monstrous city buses just going with this huge projection of a goal machine, this icons just driving through, and it's like, that's my club, that's our club there going through Tokyo. And look at everyone, they're going mental for it, absolutely mental for it, and how far we've come. Honestly, it's heartwarming, it really is. And speaking of Haaland, have you missed him? Have you missed Erling Haaland as much as I have? Because, I mean, yeah, I never thought I'd miss any player during the off-season as much as I've missed Erling Haaland, because he's such an unusual specimen, and he's an amazing watch just to look at him cover the grass the way he does, just the way he moves, the way he touches the ball, the way he scores, the way he just pushes defenders like, get off, go on, get away from me, like the way Erling Haaland just is. I've missed him. I've genuinely missed him so much, and I cannot wait to see him back with his new bloody dreadlocks and whatever the striking Viking look that he's going for. But let's talk about the squad. We've got Edison, Ortega, Carson, the expected goalkeepers, Walker. What's going on with that one? Pavard could be the man that stays in that place, maybe come the end of the transfer window. Diaz, Stones, Ake, absolute rocks, all 3 of them. Cancelo. Now that's the interesting one for me. I was shocked to see him in how many minutes, if any minutes at all. Because if he plays, I think that's a really interesting one. If he actually gets game time, I think Pep and him must have had a conversation, because if that's me, and I'm Pep, I mean, there's no way that as a club you would allow someone who's openly disrespecting us now at this point. He's gone off, he's gone on a hissy fit. People have bad days, you've had a hissy fit and you had to face the repercussions, and we faced the repercussions of your hissy fit, Cancelo, because you went off you left us without a replacement for you, and off you went. We still won the treble, mind you, don't forget that. But off you went to Bayern to not win the Champions League and get knocked out by the club you've left. So well done there. And then you go and make comments about Thomas Tuchel winning you a Champions League like you're a veteran Bayern player all of a sudden, and then you come back in a Portugal top and posting images of you in a Portugal top and forget the rest, believe in yourself nonsense, like an infantile teenage girl bitching about their boyfriend who just cheated on them on Facebook. It's pathetic. It really was. So if he gets minutes, he must have had a conversation with Pep. Surely he's spoken to Pep Guardiola, and must have been an apology of some kind. But I would like to see that public. Pep needs to address that. I'm making this video as Pep's actually in the middle of his press conference at the minute, so I'd like to know if Cancelo's brought up in that. I'll have to find that out after this video. But yeah, he's an interesting one. Laporte, another interesting one. Is the Gvardiol deal going through? Because if not, as much as it would be a blow to City's transfer window, and I think Gvardiol is the type of player that would take our defence to another level, if there is such a thing, in building the great big blue wall of Manchester. If we don't get that deal, you have to remember that I can't see us letting Laporte go. that will be the safety net to that feeling of no Gvardiol. Okay, we've still got Laporte. It's not the end of the world, is it? It's not that big a deal because Laporte is world class, and I don't understand why no one's in for him. It's mind blowing. There's something odd going on there. A safety net might be the key word. A City keeping these players in case deals don't go through. That approach to me worries me because that is an indication to the player that we want to have someone else. We don't want you. We want Gvardiol. But if we don't get Gvardiol, we're stuck with you. What impression does that leave Laporte? Does that make him feel wanted? Probably not. So you need to be careful about the way you treat the players that you intend to get out of the club to be replaced by others. Anyway, Akanji, happy with him. Another rock. Lewis, can he keep that trajectory going? His trajectory skyrocketed into the first team last season. Can he keep it going? That's a big ask for him. He's got to keep it. Can't get comfortable. Yeah, I made it now in the first team. No problem. No, you've got to keep going. You've got to break through and become more of a regular. And I think he can do it. His attitude looks spot on. Gomez and Phillips, the two ones that are in second chance saloons now, aren't they? So Gomez, under 21 in the Euros, amazing performances, top goal scorer. Can he play more attacking in that left-sided role where Grealish is going to probably play ahead of him in truth? But Calvin Phillips, can he sit alongside Rodri a lot more? Can he get more game time? Because now we're playing the two pivots and the two CDMs that we like to play. Phillips has got to get more minutes and prove himself. And this pre-season's vital. First back in, first training, ahead of everybody, got back early. So there's an indicator of where his mind's at and what his attitude is and the way he's going to approach this season. So I'm looking forward to seeing Calvin Phillips. Kovacic, really excited. I think he's got a tough ask again because it's walking on stage after Gundogan has exited stage left with 3 trophies. You know what I mean? It's a hard act to follow, Kovacic. But go and watch him if you've not already. I'm sure you have. But go and watch him again and just remind yourself of Kovacic and what he's capable of. And I guarantee you, if you watch enough of him, you'll be like, yeah, that's a player and a half. You know what I mean? So I think with Kovacic, I think he could be that player that goes under the radar. 6 months into the season, we'll be going, what a signing he's been. What a signing he's been. Bernardo Silva, I think he's staying. I'm confident about that. De Bruyne, fitness levels. What's his fitness levels are like? He's not going to be available for Burnley, I believe. So the fact that he's there with the squad, you presume he's focusing more on his personal fitness rather than integrating with Pep's tactics. And he's getting to that age now and quality. I mean, every day is a school day under Pep Guardiola, isn't it? But he is like, what does he need to learn under Pep Guardiola right now? It is a case of Pep probably puts him on the pitch and go and do your thing, Kevin. Go and do your thing. But Foden, Grealish, how hard has he partied? Is he back? Is his mentally motivational levels, what are they like? Because he strikes me as the type to enjoy the moments that he look back and go, yeah, now he's got to look forward. And I mean, if he comes back and works his socks off and performs to the level that he did in the second half of last season, as a minimum, because I still think there's improvement beyond what he did at the end of last season. But if he reaches those standards, you can't really argue however much he wants to party. Because if he's performing in a City shirt, his bladder may be fucked when he's 50, and his liver, whatever, that's his problem. Let him do what he wants. It's his body. When he's 50, he might regret all the alcohol, blah, 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 whatever. But in a City shirt and during his time at City is all we really care about. And if he's performing, party all you want, Jack. I do not care at all. Alvarez, I'm not sure he has a point to prove because I think he was quality last season, but I still think there is something there for him to look up to grab, and he's probably got higher goals to achieve than he did last season, more minutes. How's he going to blend with Erling Haaland? Can he fit into the system more? I don't think he can play out wide, so can he play that Kevin De Bruyne role and sit behind Haaland a little bit more? An amazing player, and I think his motivational levels are going to be top-notch. Rodri as well. He strikes me as someone who's just immense. Up here meant. I love the fact that Rodri's not on social media. I know it doesn't really mean much, but people talk about, he's not got any tattoos. That means he's really good. Like, no, it doesn't really mean anything. It's just a personal preference. But I mean, what I like is the fact he's going getting business degrees. You do a training session with Pep Guardiola, probably one of the hardest places to train, have a day of football training in world football under a Pep Guardiola regime, that is going to be a grueling exercise. And then after that, you go and get a business degree. It's incredible. That's work ethic of the highest standards. So I believe his motivational levels will not be in question going into the season. Same for Haaland. He just seems so hungry all the time. And he's so young. He's got so much to prove still. Palmer, Perone, Oscar Bob, McAtee. All four of them major things to prove. Perone in particular. I mean, he got very little time under Pep Guardiola last season. So he's got a lot to prove. And I've not got a big enough opinion on him because I haven't seen enough of him to say one way or the other. But Pep's obviously bedding him in incredibly slowly. So it's either a case of he doesn't believe he's good enough, or it's a case of wrapping him in an extra layer of cotton wool, and maybe he unleashes him a little bit more this season. Palmer, question marks over whether he's going to Brighton or not, and I think maybe we're keeping hold of him depending on if we can replace Mahrez. Yet to be seen. Oscar Bob and McAtee in particular. Oscar Bob's an exciting prospect, very young, but McAtee's the one. I think he's the one that every City fan's going to be looking at and saying, can you break through? Can you establish yourself and follow in the footsteps of Phil Foden? Going along the lines of Pep Guardiola, they all called for Foden to be loaned out, didn't they? They all demanded that he would be loaned out. And Pep said, no, I'm not keeping him. I'm going to bed him in incredibly slowly, a little sprinkle him into the first team just a little bit. McAtee can be doing the same. And then maybe next season we'll see an even bigger performance and a bigger step into that first team. But now's the time for him, and it could be a last chance for McAtee this pre-season. And football's a brutal game. And I mean, you're talking 3 games in a couple of weeks of pre-season has really got your opportunity to prove to Pep Guardiola you're the man for the job. You can fill some boots this season and play in a Manchester City first team. Squad rotation, most likely, but you can be part of the first team. But I'm looking forward to it. Yokohama, I know nothing about them. That's Sunday 23rd, this Sunday. I know absolutely nothing about them. So I'm going to sit here and pretend that I do. Jack shit is all I know about them. Bayern Munich, yeah, they got off to a good start, didn't they? Only 27-0 against 9th tier Rotok Egern. Whose idea? It was 18-0 at half-time. You know what I mean? Like, whose idea was it to play? Like, which individual of the PR team or the organisers of Bayern and Rotok Egern said, should we play against Rotok Egern? I think we might learn a few things, yeah. We'll learn how shit they are and how, what a pointless exercise that was. No one learned anything from that. Absolutely pointless. I feel sorry for them. Bayern learned nothing. If anything, it might have lured them into a false sense of security, thinking they're better than they are. And going into the next game with the step up between Rotok Egern and Manchester City is going to be a big one. So maybe we can catch them by surprise. But they're going to be the team this season in the Champions League. For me, it's City and Bayern as the favourites for the Champions League. I do think Real Madrid just below those two teams. Atletico Madrid, I always remember that game. Touchline, Stefan Savic, Phil Foden and Zinchenko. Even Grealish as well coming over and getting involved. And Grealish went up a notch in my book from that comment. With the way he pulled his hair, Stefan Savic pulled Grealish's hair. And then Grealish scowling at him. And I mean, even if you can't lip read him, you know what he said. It's clear as day. I mean, who didn't know what he said there? Obviously what he said there. No, that was great. I enjoyed watching Grealish say that to him because I'm not sure he understood what he said, to be honest, but I think Manx did. English people did. But Azpilicueta, Soyuncu, 2 familiar names have joined Atletico Madrid from the Premier League as well. Azpilicueta got absolutely ruined by Cole Palmer at Chelsea, and now he could potentially be facing him again. Could we see history repeat itself and Palmer spreading Azpilicueta like butter on toast? So I look forward to seeing that. Arsenal as well, they're part of the pre-season. Technically, they are. The curtain raiser. It's one of those games, the Community Shield, that I take seriously, and I'll be gutted if we lose. It's a statement that you can make going forward, but it doesn't always work out that way. Quite often, I remember we lost to United 2-0 up, and they beat us in the second half. They won 3-2. In the Community Shield, but that's the Aguero season. Last season, we lost the Community Shield, and I remember those moments as well. And then what happened after that? We won the treble. So I wouldn't worry too much about it, but it does feel like a statement. And Arsenal, you don't want to give them any momentum. That's all. And Declan Rice, Kai Havertz, Jurian Timber, they've got points to prove. And can we squash the buzz around Arsenal right now? Because there is a buzz with these 3 players that have come in have improved their chances. They have got Champions League though, you have to remember that. Last season they had a smooth sail all the way to a Premier League title, and a big old rock went called Manchester City and got in the way. So yeah, wondering if any more rocks can get in the way of Arsenal's title charge this season. And the Champions League, that's going to get in the way. But Blues, get in the comments below. I'd love to hear your predictions for pre-season. Do you think it's going to go well? Do you think it's an indication of how far we have to go in this transfer window? And are you just excited to sit back and watch some of the youngsters? Get in the comments below, like and subscribe. Typical City is the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is Typical City now.